Hello, acquaintances. My name is Herbert, and I was looking inside my fridge for some condiments, and I had the thought, how did these sauces come about? Why do we use ketchup instead of ancient Roman fish paste? So I took all of the sauces out of my fridge and gave them a good old look. And that, I decided, will be our cultural canon. And decided that this question needed to be answered. I couldn't find a sticker sheet or set that could let me determine the cultural canon of America's sauce culture. So I'm going to use the sauces inside my fridge that I take for granted as a guide. However, before we begin, we will be skipping barbecue sauce, because I didn't have any, and I also don't really like it myself. Anyways, on to the video. Ranch. Ah, yes, ranch. You can put it on a salad, or you can dump it on your pizza for some reason. Ranch was a condiment concocted around the post-war period by a man named Stephen Henson, who worked as a plumbing contractor in Alaska. After that, he retired and bought a ranch. This is where the name ranch dressing comes from, I think. Later, Henson opened a steakhouse, and there he concocted ranch dressing. It was a smash hit, and it was so unbelievably popular that guests actually took jars of it home. Seeing the opportunity, Henson began shipping his sauce nationwide. But instead of the sauce itself, it was shipped in a dry packet of dressing mix, in which you would pour in some water and create the ranch dressing artificially. Later, he closed his ranch down and sold it. But his ranch dressing business was thriving. Eventually, the ranch dressing became more widespread, and as shipping technology began to get more advanced, it started to come in plastic bottles like we see today. Mayo. Ah yes, mayo. You can slather it on a sandwich or a sub. Mayonnaise is French in origin and began to pop up around the country around the early 1800s. It does not have a clear origin or inventor and remains ambiguous. However, the most credible was discovered in Spain by French soldiers during the 7 Years' War. It was allegedly an outgrowth of the Ayoyo sauce from the northern Mediterranean. It remained popular in Europe and eventually got to the Americans in 1907 by new incoming German immigrants. Mayonnaise began to get popular in the post-war period when it started getting mass-manufactured by the Hellmann's Corporation. And eventually, people around the country began to get a real taste for it, and it became an American staple. Soy sauce. Ah yes, soy sauce. Soy sauce originated in ancient China and is just as old as soy paste. For centuries it was harvested and used as a sauce and to stretch the shelf life of salt, which was seen as an expensive commodity at the time. It eventually spread to Japan, where it eventually spread to Hawaii. After Hawaii became an American territory and later a state, the Americans really got a taste for it and began to be exported around the country. The vast majority of soy sauce in America is manufactured by the Kikkoman Food Corporation and is imported to America from Japan. Ketchup. Ah yes, ketchup. As American as apple pie. But did you know that ketchup was actually invented by the British? In the 1600s, the British began using ketchup as a mushroom to flavor food, certainly something their cuisine seemed to lack. Ketchup is one of the oldest imports to the USA. Going forward 100 years, people began to get sick of mushrooms, and so they turned to James Mees, who developed the first recipe for ketchup in the 1800s and prepared it using tomatoes, insects, and anchovies. Eventually, the insects and anchovies were phased out, and recipes in the late 1800s were created and now resemble what we have today. Before the mass manufacturing of ketchup, people had to make it themselves. The Heinz Tomato Corporation was founded with the goal in mind to make it easier for the American public to enjoy ketchup, so they began manufacturing it in glass bottles and shipping it across the nation. And ketchup was then made the American condiment. Mustard. Ah yes, mustard. I love mustard. It's my #1 favorite condiment. Anyways, mustard started with mustard seeds, which were cultivated in Syria and then spread across Europe and Asia in ancient times. Mustard was so widespread and so universal, every civilization on Earth has their own version of it. The French were the ones to create a mustard closer to the one we have today. The French prepared it for their royals, and it spread across France in the 13th century. The region of Dijon in France became the epicenter of mustard. This is where Dijon mustard came from, a much stronger flavor of mustard. Eventually, mustard came to America in 1904, where it was introduced by the RT French company. They introduced it as a hot dog condiment, and it absolutely exploded in popularity and became the American staple it is today. I prefer Dijon mustard, though. It's a much stronger mustard and way better than the plain yellow one. Its mustard flavor is much more pungent. A one sauce. Yes, another British import to the Americas. In 1824, Henderson William Brand, a chef to King George IV of the United Kingdom, created a one sauce for King George IV, who really liked it, and he gave it the name of a .1. A .1 comes from the certification British ships had back in the day. It's a little vague, but that's all I could find. The sauce went into commercial production in the early 1800s and began to be distributed across England and eventually the US by the G.F. Hubelian and Brothers Corporation. It was proven to be extremely popular around the USA and is now used as a steak sauce. However, I prefer putting it on dry leftovers to give it a bit of extra spice. Maple syrup. Yes, maple syrup. The Canadian stereotype, and one of the largest Canadian exports to the US. Indigenous groups in North America were the first to cultivate an early version of maple syrup. When English and French colonists showed up to North America, the native tribes showed them how to concoct maple syrup, similarly to how we do it today. It was a super time-consuming process, but was very much worth it. Eventually, around the mid-1800s, syrup production began to get more technologically advanced, and it became more widespread and enjoyed by more and more Americans and Canadians. Hot sauce. Yes, hot sauce. My second favorite condiment. For centuries, hot peppers were cultivated by humans and used as spices. In the 1800s, the first commercially available hot sauce popped up in Massachusetts. Hot sauce is created by mixing vinegar and chili peppers, or any other hot pepper, and letting it age for a certain amount of time, usually a year. The earliest hot sauce brand in America was the Tabasco brand of hot sauce, cultivated and aged with the Tabasco pepper, grown on the Tabasco Island in Louisiana. Tabasco was sold only in the South before being sold in the rest of America. Many competitor brands popped up later, such as Cholula and Frank's Red Hot, causing hot sauce to only be more and more widespread. Yes, the end of the video. Sorry for not covering BBQ sauce. Anyways, that was the American sauce canon from my fridge. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.